I was thinking the other day, summer and winter are seasons of stasis, states of being, while spring and fall are seasons of change, of movement. And that change in the fall seems especially urgent and hard to hold on to as we feel the warmth of summer slipping away. Emily Russell felt that urgency over the weekend, and so she did something about it. She went on a fall foliage hike, and lucky for us, she brought us along. That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day is provided by Renew Architecture and Design, designing camps, custom homes, and more throughout NCPR's listening region. Details at renewarchitecture.com.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Tuesday, September 26th. First up, traffic is moving on the St. Lawrence Seaway again this afternoon after tugboats freed a grounded freighter off Cornwall Island. According to Seaway shipwatcher Michael Folsom, the tugs floated the NACC Argonaut around 9 this morning. The cement carrier had grounded in a narrow channel between the island and St. Regis, Quebec, and sustained some damage early Sunday morning. The Seaway says no one was injured and the incident didn't cause any pollution. But it did block the shipping channel for more than a day, delaying more than a dozen ships. Folsom reports a passenger cruise ship headed into the Great Lakes had to turn around and return to Montreal. Governor Kathy Hochul says the looming federal government shutdown may slow progress on a new program aimed at easing the state's migrant crisis. Karen DeWitt reports from Albany.
Hochul says her administration has been working with the Biden administration on how to implement a program granting temporary protective status to thousands of Venezuelan migrants so that they can begin applying for jobs. The governor says a Tuesday cabinet meeting included the president's top advisor, Tom Perez. He outlined the timetable for starting the process, which could lead to the granting of the temporary work permits in as little as 30 days, instead of the 6-month waiting period for most asylum seekers. Hochul says before the Venezuelans can be granted the TPS status, the change in the regulations first need to be published in a federal register.
Those who are expecting to start the next day will be a little disappointed, but we are in a far better place than we had been.
But she says the bigger potential obstacle is the possible federal government shutdown, which will occur on Sunday if there's no agreement in Congress on a new spending plan. Hochul says while the Department of Homeland Security, which administers border control, is considered essential and would not be shuttered, there are a few dozen federal workers who've been sent to New York by the Biden administration to help implement the TPS program.
We literally just opened yesterday in a state-paid-for facility, 50 or 60 federal workers who've come to help us with the asylum processing and identification.
Hochul says it's unclear whether those workers would have to be sent home. And she says they also might need to contact staff at the Federal Department of Labor to obtain the work permits, and those offices could be closed as well. Hochul says a shutdown would also furlough around 51,000 federal workers in the state and delay food programs for poor women and children. She says it could also negatively affect one of New York's biggest industries, the financial sector, and cause a decline in the stock market. The governor, a Democrat, took a shot at Republicans who control the U.S. House of Representatives, saying she blames them for the stalemate.
Republicans in Washington are reckless. Their words have an impact. We have an economy that is still not fully back from the pandemic. It's not positive news when the markets and the rest of the world and investors and everyday people hear that they have individuals representing our nation in Washington who are willing to bring us to the brink once again and literally jump off the cliff.
Hochul says she and her staff are monitoring the situation closely. In Albany, I'm Karen DeWitt.
An Olympic bobsledder is suing a team doctor and alleging a decade of sexual abuse. According to the Adirondack Explorer, Asia Evans says the team's chiropractor, John Wilhelm, assaulted her from 2012 to 2022. Evans earned a bronze medal in bobsled at the 2014 Olympics and competed again in 2018. According to the Explorer, Evans alleges that Wilhelm repeatedly touched and groped her at the training facility in Lake Placid. Wilhelm didn't provide a comment to the article. According to the lawsuit, Wilhelm still treats Olympic athletes. USA Bobsled and Skeleton did issue a statement condemning sexual misconduct, though they said they couldn't comment on any ongoing investigations. Fall colors are changing fast here in the North Country. Head outside and you'll see new pockets of red, orange, and yellow leaves around the region. Our Adirondack reporter Emily Russell went for a hike to soak up that early fall color and sent this audio postcard.
I woke up this morning and I was driving through Saranac Lake, and it felt like the fall colors had just popped overnight, and so I knew I had to get out on a trail and see some of that color up close and personal. I'm hiking the Black Pond Trail at the Paul Smith's Vic. It's a pretty flat loop around the pond and offers amazing autumn views right from the start. The first bit of color I'm seeing is not up in the trees, but the ferns have these kind of like crispy edges. They've turned yellow or even orange, and then the edges are brown or even dark black. There's still plenty of greenery up in the trees, but some leaves are shifting colors. A warm breeze sends a shudder through some of the drier leaves around me. I've been down on the trail because I saw something move across it, and it's this tiny little toad, like the size of my thumbnail. It's so small. There's so much to see out here beyond just the fall foliage. I watch paddlers glide across the pond, spot a fish flopping just above the surface. My companion out here today is very happy with our decision to hike this trail. Hi, Dax. Dax is having a blast out here, my dog. Yes. The trail takes us across a small fish barrier dam that separates Black Pond from Long Pond. The stream between the two ponds is wide and shallow. It's darker back here under the thick canopy of pine trees. Every so often, I hear some chirping in the branches above me. I was just stopping to listen to a bird in the woods, and then I heard this kind of squeaking sound. And it was another bird flying over the pond, really low to the water, and I could hear it's like, its wings or its body, whatever it was, making that kind of squeaking sound. Really sweet. I've been out here for more than an hour and haven't passed another person on the trail. And because it skirts along the edge of the pond, I get a new view with every twist in the trail. It feels like a gift, especially this time of year. I feel like fall is such a fleeting season. The colors are changing so quickly, and I feel like I'm going to blink and they're going to be gone. And it's going to be cold and, early winter. So it's super nice just to be able to get out here in the moment, like when it's actually happening, when fall is occurring, and just try to slow down and take as much of it in as I can. As I near the end of the hike, the trail takes me out onto a long wooden bridge. To my left, a loon flaps its wings against the water and bares its white chest. To my right, another loon calls out to its mate. I sit down on the dock and just watch them for a while. Emily Russell, North Country Public Radio on the Black Pond Trail at the Paul Smith's Vic.
We have more news all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Remember, you can listen to all the regional news you hear on Story of the Day on your own time. Subscribe to the podcast. It's free. It'll download on your phone or laptop or whatever every weekday around 4 p.m. And you can listen when it works for you. Subscribe where you listen to podcasts or go to ncpr.org/podcasts. Music today by Christopher Watts of Canton and Oscar Sarmiento of Potsdam. I'm David Sommerstein, North Country Public Radio.